I know you're somewhere out there, somewhere far away. I want you back, I want you back. My neighbors think I'm crazy, but they don't understand. You're all I had, you're all I had. At night when
Malaysia was traumatized by a disaster that remains painful in our heart. At 1:35 p.m. at this time, an apartment block in Kuala Lumpur called Highland Towers was collapsed in the catastrophic blink of an eye, killing 48 people. The city's fire and rescue service faced an unprecedented catastrophe as they struggled to find survivors in the massive heap of twisted wreckage. While relatives and friends waited too desperately for news of the missing, in the aftermath of the tragedy came an avalanche of urgent questions. Why had Highland Towers collapsed? Why? And who should be called to account that accident? In this emotionally supercharged real-life story, we hear the raw, heart-rending stories of the man and woman who lived through 12 days of torment, and exposed in compelling the fatal flaws led to the power of 200 jumbo jets ramming into the foundations of Highland Tower.
Highland Towers consisted of 3 blocks, 12-story high apartments named simply as Block 1, 2 and 3 respectively. It was constructed sometimes between 1975 and 1978. Directly behind the 3 blocks was a steep hill with a stream flowing west called as the A Stream, which would have passed harmlessly to the south of the Highland Towers site if it was allowed to follow its natural course. Sometimes, in the course of Highland Towers development, as found by the court, the east stream was diverted by means a pipe culvert to flow northwards across the hill slope directly behind the Highland Towers. The approved drainage system on the hill slope behind the Highland Towers was never completed. 10 days of continuous rainfall, Block 1 was collapsed.
Behind Block 1, a huge volume of wet mud bursts forwards and downwards, smashing through the retaining walls. Seconds later, 100,000 cubic meters of mud, approximately the weight of 200 747 jumbo jets, rams into the foundations of Block 1. To begin with, the landslide shoves the entire mass of the building forwards. But this lateral sideways pressure is so powerful that the foundations at the front snap, and Block 1 crashes down.
Block 1 of Highland Tower was found by a court to have been rationally regressive, slight emanating from a high retaining wall behind the second of 3-tier car park serving of the 3 blocks of Highland Tower. Water was found to be one of the factors that caused this high wall to fail. This water emanated from poor and no-maintained drainage, as well as a leaking pipe
culvert carrying the water of the diverted east stream. All drainage and geotechnical experts who are testified in this case agree that the flow region of the east stream into the pipe culvert running across the hill of highly undesirable and dangerous. Instead of water flowing along the natural courses downhill following in its natural terrain, it is now diverted into a man-made structure that requires constant maintenance and supervision. The decision of the High Court and the Court of Appeal confirm that architect and engineer have a duty to secure the safety, health and welfare of the public in the performance of their professional services. In this case, the Court of Appeal was unable to see how MPAG could possibly escape liability for requiring the divisions of the East Stream. This infers that local authorities should not directly or do anything to make the site dangerous, otherwise it will be liable. Although the court did not discuss in the ground of the judgments that certificate given by the architect and engineer on the plan submitted by them to exonerate MPAG. This professional duty must always be reflected on the plans by requiring the architect and engineer to certify that they are responsible for supervise the constructions of the project to ensure that it is built in accordance with the approval plan specifications and also a drawing.
Building professionals require to consider the vicinity of the site as well as the site itself in assessing safety, particularly in regard to adjacent hill slopes. Building professionals cannot hide behind limited scopes of engagement. These are matters between themselves and their employer, but the scope of their duty owed to persons likely to be affected by their services is not so limited. Engaged to the work likely to affect the structures they have been engaged to design, supervise, are competent and will carry out their work in workmanlike manner. If building professionals hold themselves out to have expertise in a particular area when they are unqualified, their conduct will be measured against the ordinarily competent qualified practitioner of such expertise. Building professionals must ensure the law is followed, reporting to the authorities if necessary if their clients break the law.